A phone call changed everything. Michael had just put the mower away when his phone buzzed, breaking the stillness of the afternoon. In the kitchen, flour dusted my hands as I attempted to recreate my mother's cherished chicken pot pie recipe from memory. The scent of thyme and butter wrapped around me like a warm embrace, soothing my restless soul. I felt the change in his voice as we spoke, curiosity giving way to hesitation, and then to a heavy acceptance. As he stepped back inside, sweat glistening on his forehead, he caught my gaze with that familiar sheepish grin, the one that always precedes a request I dread. "Julia," he breathed, stretching the name like he did in those early days of our romance. "Do you recall my cousin Noah?" I halted, the spoon suspended in the air. Noah, how could I ever forget Noah? He was the family's golden boy, captivating and always off to some far-flung destination, his tales igniting laughter around the table. We had crossed paths only a handful of times at reunions, yet there was an undeniable spark about him, a lingering energy that clung to my thoughts far longer than I wanted to acknowledge. He was Michael's younger cousin, a decade younger, and even then I could see how women, both young and old, were drawn to him, captivated like moths to a flame. "He's looking for somewhere to stay for a few weeks," Michael pressed on. "Moving for work. He was moved to the city, yet his apartment won't be ready until the 1st of next month." I set the spoon down softly, and we were at the hotel. Michael shrugged slightly, guilt intertwining with a flicker of hope. "He's everything to me." Without hesitation, I agreed. 2 days later, Noah appeared, suitcase in one hand, garment bag in the other, his boyish grin lighting up the moment. Time had treated him well. Honestly, it's incredible. His hair fell a bit longer than I recalled, tousled in a manner that felt both haphazard and deliberate. His stubble, touched with gray, gave him an air of distinction. His voice, now deeper, resonated with a calm confidence born from a life rich in experiences. "Julia," he whispered, pulling me into a brief embrace that stretched into an eternity. "It's as if time has stood still for you." I chuckled, dismissing the compliment, yet his gaze sent a shiver down my spine. It was oddly familiar, yet unsettling in its own way. Not quite, simply unknown. I had grown accused Michaela to fading into the background, almost like a ghost. At least for men, after 20 years of marriage, I had settled into a pattern, a part to play. Wife, mother, and the heart of every gathering. But Noah Skades was blind to it all. He noticed me. The initial days passed in a quiet haze. Noah was a thoughtful guest, always tidy, eager to lend a hand, and unfailingly courteous. One night, he took the initiative to cook dinner, and the result was a fiery shrimp pasta that had Michael nearly devouring the plate. Afterward, we shared a bit of wine, and I laughed harder than I had in ages. That night, after Michael retired early with a pounding headache, Noah and I lingered on the back porch, bathed in the soft glow of the string lights I had hung last fall. The cicadas buzzed softly, while the sweet scent of honeysuckle mingled with freshly cut grass, creating an atmosphere thick with nostalgia. "It's beautiful here," Noah said, his voice barely above a whisper as he took a sip from his glass. "Serene, a place that grips your heart, making you yearn to stay forever." I gazed into the yard where Michael had just planted fresh rose bushes, their vibrant colors a stark contrast to the fading light. "It is," I replied, "but peace can quickly morph into silence. In the stillness, loneliness often creeps in." I couldn't understand why those words escaped my lips. Perhaps it was the wine that stirred something deep within. Perhaps it was the intensity in Noah's gaze, as if he wasn't merely listening, but truly absorbing every word I spoke. He remained silent at first, nodding slowly, as if grasping a profound truth that lingered in the air. "Do you ever sense a part of yourself that you abandoned?" he asked. I glanced at him. The question struck with an unexpected force. Each day I whispered. In the days that followed, the house pulsed with a new haunting cadence. Our late-night talks on the porch became the highlight of my evenings, a moment I eagerly anticipated. They were innocent, just fleeting conversations that held so much weight. In those still moments, I experienced a recognition that had eluded me for years. Noah inquired about my art, a topic Michael seldom touched upon these days. He longed to uncover my forgotten paintings, the ones gathering dust in the garage. As I presented them, he examined each canvas with a reverence that felt almost holy. "These are incredible, Julia," he said, lifting a piece I created during a brutal winter long ago. "What made you pause?" I turned my gaze aside. Existence. Children. Labor. Moments. I think I lost touch with that part of myself. He set the painting down with care, his voice barely a whisper. "Perhaps it's time to reflect." Then the stormy night arrived. Michael embarked on a weekend fishing trip with his old high school friends, nostalgia and excitement swirling in the air. Noah and I were alone in the house when thunder split the sky, and rain pounded against the windows, wild and relentless. Darkness enveloped the room, a sudden silence swallowing everything. Candles flickered to life. I unearthed forgotten board games. We sat at the kitchen table, candlelight flickering as the storm howled outside, playing Scrabble in the midst of chaos. "I haven't done this since I was a kid," Noah said, a grin spreading across his face as he placed the word urine on the table. "Elegant," I teased, battling the weight of my word choice. As the night deepened, the atmosphere changed dramatically. The house seemed to close in, the air heavy with unspoken tension. His gaze lingered on me, filled with curiosity, warmth, and an unwavering patience. In that moment, I understood I no longer feared being visible. As I rose to extinguish the candles, his hand grazed mine. A fleeting touch, almost imperceptible, yet it froze me in place. I glanced at him. His expression was a mask, yet his eyes revealed a depth of emotion I hadn't encountered in years. Yearning, reverence, awe. "I should go to bed," I murmured, my voice a fragile breath. He nodded, a silent agreement hanging heavy in the air. "Sleep well, Julia." As I ascended the stairs, my heart raced, a sense of change enveloping me, an unnamed tension in the air. Yet I would. That night, sleep eluded me. The storm had faded, yet its resonance lingered deep within me. I lay in the dark, the soft creaks of the old house whispering secrets to my ears. Each time I shut my eyes, Noah's gaze pierced through me, unwavering and probing, as if he held the truth I was too afraid to confront. I felt no fear in his presence. That wasn't enough. Fear consumed me from within. The following morning, the air hung heavy with moisture, and the world beyond the windows appeared pristine, as if reborn. Birds sang their urgent calls, and the scent of damp earth hung heavy in the air. I crept down the stairs in my robe, hair wild from a restless night. Noah stood in the kitchen, barefoot and slightly disheveled, flipping pancakes with a serene smile that masked the chaos within. "Morning sleep awaits," he whispered, his voice a gentle caress. I attempted to return the smile, yet an unsettling feeling churned within me. "You cook as well?" He simply shrugged, a silent dismissal hanging in the air. "When the moment calls, I thought you might need a pause." He handed me a cup of coffee, perfectly sweetened with 2 sugars and a splash of cream. No questions asked. That unexpected gesture struck me deeply, leaving me momentarily speechless. For 20 long years, Michael had never managed to get it right. We dined in a quiet that was both comforting and electric. He shared a tale of his new job, where everything was racing ahead, and the possibility of moving into his place sooner than he had dreamed. I should have felt a rush of relief, yet what washed over me was a wave of disappointment, sharp and unsettling. That afternoon, I felt an undeniable urge to paint. After more than 10 years, I finally unearthed my easel from the depths of the garage. I plunged my brush into deep blue, unleashing a fierce collision on the canvas. It began awkwardly, filled with uncertainty, but then the pulse surged back into my wrist, the beat alive once more. I wasn't capturing a scene, just the pulse of movement, the weight of emotion, the echo of memory. Noah finally found his voice. This look is undeniably you. I shot a quick look at him, warmth flooding my cheeks. What do you mean? Awake. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. That evening I fought to stay away. I immersed myself in laundry, sent messages to the kids, and engaged in a lengthy call with my sister. As silence enveloped the house and shadows crept across the sky, I found myself drawn back to the back porch once more. Noah approached, cradling 2 steaming cups of chamomile tea. We shared our deepest regrets, reflecting on paths left unexplored. Life often drags you down paths you never anticipated, making it all too simple to lose sight of your original desires. Text. I once dreamed of a life by the sea, I admitted. Launching a small art gallery, nothing extravagant, just a piece of my soul. Noah gazed at the horizon, his face a mask of uncertainty. Why didn't you do it? I offered a faint smile. Dreams don't do laundry or prepare meals. They neither settle debts nor nurture the young. No, he whispered, his voice barely breaking the silence. Yet they sustain your breath. The conversation changed in an instant, though I can't recall how. In an instant, the conversation shifted away from dreams. We spoke of loneliness. On touch. It had been ages since either of us had truly felt anything untainted by duty. I'm not looking for trouble, Noah, I said, my voice trembling with intensity. I'm not offering any, he said, his voice steady but laced with an unspoken weight. And then he did the unthinkable. He rose and turned, leaving everything behind. Take your time. No witty comments. No line was crossed. Only emptiness. He abandoned me to my thoughts, a sharp realization piercing through that something deep within had shattered. But I hesitated, torn between the urge to seal it away and the fear of what lay inside. The following day, Michael returned home from his journey. His scent was a mix of stale beer and fish, and he recounted the same worn-out tales, each one echoing with a sense of longing. I absorbed every word, responding with nods and laughter at just the right moments. Yet I felt a part of me was missing. Never again. I observed Noah from a distance, captivated by his smile, the way he instinctively understood when to engage and when to hold back. His eyes would occasionally lock onto mine, carrying an unspoken weight of respect. Later that night, as I slipped into bed next to Michael and extinguished the light, a profound sense of living in 2 worlds washed over me. A fortress I had crafted over years, strong and deeply known, and another that had quietly emerged over the days, uncertain, stirring, vibrant. Uncertainty loomed ahead, and I braced myself for the unknown. Yet, deep down, I understood that nothing would ever feel the same again. The next week dragged on, calm on the outside but turbulent within. Noah maintained his distance, but it wasn't out of indifference. It was nothing less than meticulous, intentional. We treaded a delicate path, fully aware of its fragility. We still shared meals, exchanged fleeting conversations, and offered the rare smile when our paths crossed in the hallway. Yet, the atmosphere surrounding us had shifted. Michael moved forward, blissfully unaware, as if the world around him had not shifted at all. He vented about work, lamented the traffic, and lost himself in the familiar chaos of old detective shows, the volume cranked up just enough to drown out his thoughts. I fought to align with his energy, to find my way back into the rhythm we had crafted over the years. Yet my thoughts wandered endlessly, to the sound of Noah's voice. In the depth of his gaze there was no demand, only a quiet understanding. To the part of me that came alive again in his presence. On a late Tuesday, the silence shattered at last. Michael slipped under the covers, surrendering to the night once more. He felt drained or perhaps just indifferent. I sat in the dim light, curled in the armchair, clutching a book that held no words for me. The sound of Noah in the kitchen pierced the silence, the soft clink of dishes and the rush of water echoing in the stillness, a haunting reminder of the evening's end. Something pulled me to my feet, urging me to step inside. Perhaps it was the isolation. Perhaps it was the piece of me that longed to be noticed. As he rinsed the final plate, I found my voice. "You're about to leave everything behind." He nodded, his hands trembling slightly as he wiped them on the towel. "Just a few more days." I pressed my back to the counter, my heart racing wildly. "Your presence has been a true gift." Our gazes locked. "It has lasted far longer." The words lingered, thick and heavy, like steam rising from the sink. Intense, suffocating, inescapable. I inhaled deeply, my mind racing as the words spilled forth, unexpected and raw. "I'm lost in this overwhelming chaos." Noah moved in slightly, just shy of contact, yet his presence enveloped me. "Julia, you need to know you're not obligated to do anything." I truly meant every word. "I come in peace, not to stir up chaos." Yet I can't deny that this, whatever it may be, holds deep significance for me. I choked back a lump, my throat parched. It held significance for me as well. We stood in silence, the refrigerator's soft hum the sole witness to our unspoken tension. And then he surprised everyone once more. His smile flickered, a brief spark in the shadows. Neither a flirtatious smile nor a smug, self-assured grin. A simple, gentle smile that whispered reassurance. "It's okay. I see you," and it pierces through the silence. "I still hold you in high regard." That night, I ascended to my studio, a space I had abandoned, now revived by Noah's gentle push to rediscover my passion. I unveiled a pristine canvas. Halfway through, the canvas revealed its truth to me. A woman stood at the brink, caught between shadow and light, poised on the edge of the unknown. The ocean perhaps, or an endless sky above. Wind tousled her hair, her bare shoulders exposed, her expression a mix of strength and uncertainty, vibrant with life. For the first time in years, I truly felt alive, as if I was finally revealing my true colors. The next morning, Noah stood ready, his bags waiting by the front door. I descended the stairs, each step heavy, my heart constricted by an unsettling feeling. "This is it," I said, forcing a lightness that didn't match the weight in my heart. He faced me, his hands buried deep in his pockets. For the moment, we lingered, two souls at the brink of an unspoken divide. He stepped forward, wrapping his arms around me in a hug that spoke volumes beyond words. It felt warm and safe, a deeply personal embrace, yet it never demanded more. "Text, I hope you keep painting," he whispered, his breath brushing against my ear. "I hope you remember to choose yourself now and then." I nodded, words escaping me. In an instant, he vanished. That evening, Michael returned from work and caught sight of the painting on the easel. He gazed at it, lost in thought. "Is this something fresh?" he inquired. "Absolutely," I responded. He gazed at the woman in the painting, the wind swirling around her, the light illuminating her quiet strength, then turned his eyes back to me. "More of these are needed. It's truly remarkable." A smile broke across my face. "Thank you." It was a quiet truth, yet it struck deep. He never looked at me the way Noah did. Perhaps, just perhaps, he was beginning to see. For now, that was all that mattered. 3 weeks had slipped by since Noah's departure. The house fell back into its familiar cadence. Calm, unchanging, almost unnervingly silent. Michael and I navigated our days as we always did. But beneath the surface, something was shifting. Mornings filled with coffee, Saturdays dedicated to groceries, and Sunday dinners with the kids whenever they could join. On the surface, everything appeared the same. Yet within me, everything had changed. Noah's absence was a void that echoed with unspoken pain. It ignited a haunting echo, not for an action he had taken, but for a force he had stirred. He never attempted to steal anything from me. He had never dared to cross the line. He held up a mirror, urging me to gaze within, and I did. I've picked up the brush once more, and this time it's different. I'm painting with purpose, with passion, and it feels alive. Michael would occasionally peek into the studio as I toiled, inquiring about the hues or the theme. He may not have grasped my vision, yet his curiosity burned bright. A gentle, reverent soul. One night, as we washed the dishes, he suddenly took my hand and said, "You seem different lately, joyful, serene." At first, I was at a loss for words. I'm starting to rediscover myself, I said. His gaze lingered on me, heavy with unspoken words. I want to understand that woman deeply. It may not have been poetry, yet it held a weight of its own. Not long after, we escaped for a weekend, just the two of us. We found ourselves at a quaint bed and breakfast by the coast, where the salty wind whispered secrets and the waves echoed stories lost to time. One morning, as Michael slept, I found myself alone at the cliff's edge, staring into the vast, turbulent sea below. I lingered, the wind tugging at my sweater, the sun gently warming my face. I remembered Noah, not with desire, but with a deep sense of appreciation. He entered my life when I was unaware of just how adrift I truly was. He walked away, leaving me with a treasure, no strings attached. Grant me the right to truly feel, to hold on to the past, yearning for something greater. On our final night, Michael and I huddled by the flickering fireplace, savoring a bottle of wine from a nearby vineyard. He leaned in, his fingers brushing my wrist softly, and whispered, "I'm sorry I walked away, Ratch." Tears surged forth, unstoppable. I too faded away, I whispered. In that instant, I understood that what Noah offered wasn't a way out. It transcended romance and thrill. It was a threshold, pulsing with unspoken possibilities, returning to my marriage, returning to who I truly am. After that, Noah was never mentioned again. It was unnecessary. What mattered was my transformation, a subtle shift that rippled